Hi there, so this is Deborah Kane of Deborah Kane Art, and you can find my courses at www.deborahkaneart.com. This is a little video for YouTube about how the tonal story changes in the autumn. And you might have watched some of my videos about tone. You might have been to another class where they talk about tone, and people often talk about tones being a fixed thing. And particularly in the autumn fruits course, we're looking at how tones change and how the tonal story depicts decay. But at this moment in that course, we haven't quite got to that point, and we're just thinking about what are the changes that happen in the autumn. And we can start this just by thinking back. So you may have studied the Spring Flowers course with me, which is all about delicate tones. There's lots of white, isn't there? There's lots of light, fresh greens. And we get very, very nerdy about using a pencil. It's the only course where I do that, you know, creating a wide range of tones, because all of the tones are very, very soft in the spring. And then as we move on into the summer, we get much harsher tones. The sun is higher in the sky. So particularly if you're doing a drawing in the garden, that'll be characterised with sharp shadows. So a big difference between what is dark and what is light. So we can say that we've got a greater contrast happening in the summer. The summer is about deploying strong contrasts. So let's think about what's happening in the autumn, because there doesn't seem to be a standard progression. So let's look at the questions we ask ourselves on the Autumn Fruits course. The first one is, are the tones more delicate as in spring or stronger as in the summer? And we have to think about this really. The leaves have disappeared from the trees, haven't they? So we've got some quite strong structures. We have got some quite strong contrast there. It wouldn't be appropriate to depict the autumn visual story in a very sort of subordinate, sort of washy, light pencil sort of a way, would it? Because those dark silhouettes are part of the autumn story. However, apart from the leaf story, which is something different, we will cover that in part of the Autumn Fruits course, all of the fruits and the things that fall off the trees and arrive on the ground, that isn't really a colour story, certainly not in the way that a summer flowers border would be. So there's definitely some subtle tones there, aren't there? And there's quite a lot of textures and shapes from the things that have fallen off the trees. But there isn't really a strong colour story. And really that's why on the first part of the Autumn Fruits course we go into just drawing in pencil. We do a whole part of the course, and it's the only course that I'm doing at the moment where we do a whole section on pencil, because when we're drawing all those conkers and cobnuts and acorns, all of those are really well depicted with a pencil. They're all about tone, aren't they? There's a bit of texture on there, but actually there's a huge tonal story that needs to be told there. So looking at how we're going to put this into practice, let's have a look at what Mr. Hockney does. And I think in the course notes, I suggest that you look at, you search David Hockney's Yorkshire Sketchbook. And if you do that search on Google, you will find some of his charcoal drawings. And you could spend a whole afternoon on this, honestly, it's such fun. But try to look at those drawings and think to yourself, was this done in the spring? Was this done in the summer? Was this done in the autumn? And I can definitely show you some examples. So for example, will have floated across the screen at this moment, this example here, and we can tell that that has been done in the spring, can't we? because there's lots of foliage, but the whole of the tonal story is quite soft. Whereas if you look at this drawing, we can be pretty certain that's the summer, because there is still a lot of foliage there, but there is a stronger tonal story. There's a stronger contrast going on there, isn't it? Those sharp shadows across the path are definitely summer shadows. So let's go back to the one we were previously looking at. Look at those shadows. They're definitely spring shadows, aren't there? So Mr. Hockney is absolutely masterful. I don't normally use pictures of artists' work in these videos, but I'm sure Mr. Hockney won't mind. Thank you, Mr. Hockney, for letting me use your pictures, because they, you know, I know that I couldn't do a drawing of this quality. And here we are. Let's look at this one, which is of the autumn, and we know that's the autumn. We know it's the autumn because he's got strong structures and strong contrast, but those cast shadows aren't there anymore. The sun is at a lower level, isn't it? The sun is not as visible. And then he has got that delicate texture story in the floor of that piece of forest. And again, if we look at the first one, look at the floor of the forest, there is a subtle difference in the texture. So you know that that's a spring-autumn forest. Oh, I'll have to cut this bit out of the video as well. You know that that's a spring floor of the forest because the tonal story is just a little bit sharper, isn't it? So all of those three pictures are in the course notes with a commentary, but it really is worth taking a look at Mr. Hockney's work. Like I say, the web search you want to do is David Hockney Yorkshire Sketchbook, and you just can't get any better. It's like a complete essay in how to do this course. Okay, thanks for watching. If you're interested in doing one of my courses, you can find them at www.deborahkaneart.com, and do please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.